Hey everyone, Jim Tedesco here, Millennium County Road. I tell you, it's getting old, but not being having a layout here to actually show off. I got to show off everything else. My car behind me. Finally made room in the garage for it. Kind of good news, sort of. I already told you the bad news with the shed. I looked around for a couple of places and, well, there's so many problems up here with permitting and everything else. It's a joke. I was all set to buy a $15,000 20 by 30 shed, come in two halves. They put it together on site, and first they said that they could put it on the platform. They said no, they couldn't because it had its own floor, so the platform's got to go. I said, all right. So I had them come down to the property to make sure that they could do it. The guy comes down, he says, well, he says, you got a problem. He says, your little shed, which I have, I think you've probably seen it in previous videos, a little 8 by 10 or 8 by 12. He says, did you get a permit for that? He says, well, no, they didn't tell me I needed one. It just, it's not permanent. You know, and basically if something's not permanent, which means it's mounted on concrete, it's considered portable and doesn't require a permit. Or so I thought. He said, oh, no, you're going to have problems with that. That's going to have to go before we can bring ours in. I said, what the hell am I supposed to do with it? So I said, well, let me think about it and get back to you. So the guy that I bought that shed from, which was Cook Sheds, which I like Don, he's a great guy. At the carport company he was dealing with for the big shed, they're idiots, so once again, don't deal with them. So I went down there and I said, Don, I said, what the hell's the deal? He says, he didn't tell me I needed a permit for that little shed, and it's not tied down. He said, well, it doesn't need to be. He said, that thing ain't going nowhere. I said, well, that's what I thought. It's wood construction. It's built like a mini house. And it has a floor in it already. So I says, all right, so now I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place again. I got two platforms on my property. Basically, I can't use either one of them. I've already lost $9,000 in platforms. What the hell am I supposed to do? He says, well, I can't get you a 20 by 30, but I can give you a 12 by 31. And I said, well, okay, now we're talking. He says, well, bring it right in. It's got its own floor in it, its own platform. We just slide it right in there, and you're done. And he says, don't worry about permits because they probably won't give you one anyway, and you're out in the county, and they don't really give a damn. I says, all right, well, that makes sense. Of course, it's a lot cheaper, too. It's going to cost me $7,000, which ain't bad. He had one similar down. I have to have one built for me. It's going to take 8 to 10 weeks to get it, which is fine, because I got to build it to my specs, especially, because the one they had a garage door. I don't want a garage door. I just want a man door right in the front, in the center, and that's it. So, and this is all wood construction. Shingled roof. A vent cap on the top. It's nice. It's a nice machine. It's a nice building. A lot better than those cheap metal buildings that they wanted to sell me. So I went ahead and put the down payment down on it. And hopefully within 8 to 10 weeks it'll be sitting here. But of course I got to get rid of the platform. So he came up with a good idea. He said, look, he says, go on Facebook, use their marketplace, and put it up for sale. Tell them that you come and dismantle it, you could have it for, cheap price. Now, both platforms, I was going to donate the one to the church. I don't know if they're going to ever show up or not. I mean, if they do, fine, but if it's gone before they get here, well, that's the way it goes. But I got to get the other platform out of here, obviously, within 8 weeks, so because, I don't want to have it here when they bring in a new one. So I put them up for $500 each. There's $2,000 worth of wood in each one on the old prices. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware or not, but wood prices went through the roof probably because of the fires out in California and Oregon and whatever. But I got the receipt to prove that the wood on this platform was $2,100. At this point, if I can recoup even a tiny percentage of what I had, that's fine. So we put it up for $500 for each platform. We'll see what happens. Other than that, I may have to take the chainsaw myself and just cut it up into bits and pieces and stack it somewhere in the back 9. That's what it comes down to, But there's a lot of good wood there, and it's all new wood, and very, very little of it's cut. Most of it's in its original dimensions. You know, I got 20-foot 2x8s and 10-foot 2x6s. You know, plus sheets of 4x8 sheets of plywood. Most of them, I think, are full sheets. So there were a couple I think were cut in half, but they're still usable wood, you know. So that's the plan, if it works out. I'm telling you, if this one falls through, I don't know. I might just give up on the whole damn thing and find a different hobby. Now, I'm only kidding, I wouldn't do that. But I looked at building one. A lot of you guys, especially Sparky, said, hey, why don't you just build your own? Okay, I'm looking at it. Now, I'm 61 years old, which wouldn't be an issue if I hadn't had a previous stroke. And I don't really have any help up here. I mean, I've got a future son-in-law, but he's not real bright. I mean, you know, he's not a builder. He's more muscle than anything else, and getting him up here to work might be a little difficult. So the reality is I can't do it. And I thought about having the handyman who built them. Now, the platform cost me $5,000, okay? Now, the materials to build the building, I actually sat down and figured out materials, went on the site, went online, looked at the cost of the wood, shingles, tar paper, a door, studs, and so everything. I could buy all the materials to build a 20 by 30 for around $6,000, which isn't too bad. And if I could have found somebody to do, say maybe do $4,000 for labor, I would have done it. It's too late now because they say I already bought a shed, but I'm thinking there's no way that my handyman would do that for $4,000. He'd probably want $15,000 because, you know, these guys up here think they're gold. He's a nice guy, I know I like him, but the reality is these guys literally think that they're worth gold. So really building my own was kind of out of the question. It would have been easy enough if I wasn't disabled, I would have done it in a heartbeat. I could have done the walls without a problem, but I couldn't have done the roof. Yeah, especially now because I can't even really get up on a ladder more than the first rung, you know. So the reality is, no, I can't do it. So I'm stuck with my decision. So I'll have to redo my layout because originally it was set up for 20 by 30. Now 12 by 32 isn't that far off, and I just have to narrow the center aisle. So instead of having an 8-foot center aisle, I'll have like a 4-foot center aisle, which is fine, you know. So I'll get to redoing my drawings here in probably the next couple of weeks. So anyway, that's where we're at. So all is not lost. For a minute there, I was beginning to wonder. I told Don down there at Cook Sheds, I said, you know, I'm pulling my hair out on this thing. This is ridiculous. And he agreed. He said, look, he said, the problem up here is, he said, people are lazy. They want more money than they're worth. Jim. And they're going to go ahead and do what they got to do regardless. So he says, you know, really, you just can't get around it. And I said, no, I guess not. So this is where we're at. So hopefully that'd be around end of November. I should have a shed. At the very worst, the first week of December. So that's not too bad. I'll just have to deal with it. And meanwhile, I'll keep on gathering supplies and everything else. Because it's still, fortunately, I mean, it's a nice wood construction. I mean, things heavy duty built. But I still have to put insulation in the ceiling and the walls and inner walls. And I don't know if I'm going to put up a ceiling or not. I might. But, and then of course electric and air conditioning. I've got most of the electric here. I got the air conditioner over there. I bought a mini split unit. I'm basically ready to go. I just don't have a building. Anyway, I want to thank all you guys for a lot of y'all. You had good suggestions. Some of them really weren't feasible for up here, unfortunately. But I appreciate the effort anyway. And I'll see you guys offering to help if you live closer. I know nobody lives around here. But I appreciate the gesture. I don't doubt for a minute that you guys would actually come and help me if you were close by. But unfortunately, I kind of live in the, you know, the butthole of the country. So there's really nobody around here. Well, that's fine. So So anyway, that's where we're at, and well, just gotta sit back and wait now. In the meantime, I've been buying stuff. I would do more unboxing, but I don't really have any way to really demonstrate any of the stuff I bought, you know. I just bought another locomotive. I bought a GP40, and I was supposed to buy two GP38s, but I found out they have GP38s and GP40s on the railroad behind me, the sugar company. And the first time I looked at them, they were running the GP40s. And then now that lately they've been running the GP38s. So it's no big deal. But I'm going to strip both of them down. I only got one so far. I'll get another one soon. Strip them both down and repaint them to match, road number and everything, to the U.S. Sugar. And if I do it before I get the shed, which is highly unlikely, but if I do it, I'll videotape it and you guys can see what I'm doing. Other than that, just a waiting game as always. So once again, keep it on the rails, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.